Hey, what's up, fellas? How you doing? Man, Antonelli here.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? How we doing? Matt Antonelli here. So today we're answering Instagram questions. So a couple weeks ago, I asked everyone on Instagram to send me in a question that they'd like to be answered. And so we're going to go through that list right now. I couldn't pick everyone because there was a lot of questions, but I picked as many people as possible. And this is probably going to be a multi-part series because, again, there were a real lot of questions, a lot of good questions. And so let's go through one by one and we will answer. So first question is from Jack R. Fisher. What's up, Jack? What is your favorite memory as a demon deacon? So I have kind of two different sets of memories from my demon deacon days. One was as a player and a student, so a student athlete when I actually played there, and then another set of memories when I coached there. That's when I got to know Jack. So I would say the biggest memory from when I played there. To be honest, unfortunately, we didn't end up going to a regional. We didn't, play in a college World Series or anything like that. So it wasn't any particular. It honestly wasn't any particular game. My biggest memory, when I think back to my time there, was literally just my group of friends, the guys that I played with. One of the reasons I chose Wake was because when I went on my visit there, I really liked the kids on the team. Like, I just thought that they were very similar to me. And that's how it was when I got there. Like, the group of guys that were on our team, I didn't hang out with a whole lot of people outside of our team. Like, those were the guys I hung out with every day. So that's my biggest memory, is just being around the guys, around them during practice, during games, and then, off the field. And then, and then being the same thing. When I went back to coach, same thing. The kids there, it just always seems like they do a good job of recruiting good people and good kids. And I thought the same thing when I went back and coached. Okay, Kyle Dennis, 28. After watching the home team go 0-7 in the World Series, I have to ask, does home field advantage really play that big of a role in Major League Baseball? What ways does home field affect the game from a player's perspective? Okay, so I know it's easy sometimes to just take a small sample like that and say, oh, it doesn't matter. But I actually looked up. I looked up the home field advantage or winning percentage for home teams in playoffs and playoff games for every major sport. And actually, the lowest I think was hockey. Now, every sport was over 50%. So the home team does have an advantage. Football, I think football was the most. And then I think it was basketball, then baseball, then hockey. Football makes sense because the crowd noise makes that's a huge advantage to have crowd noise. Because, when the opposing offense, when the offensive lineman can't hear the snap count and they can't get off the ball, that's a really big advantage for the defense. And that happens when you're home, obviously. Basketball, you can see, right, it's an emotional game. That's why I'm surprised hockey, not so much, too. But basketball, emotional game, like home team gets a big advantage, especially in the playoffs. Baseball, you see an advantage. It's not a huge advantage. I'll say this. Baseball, because of the fan noise doesn't really affect baseball players too much because there's not really any communication going on in the field very much at all. And so that doesn't really matter as much. For me, I think when you're a home team, you just get used to your surroundings, right? You get used to it always typically feels more comfortable to play in your home park. You know the dimensions, you know the surroundings, you're used to the batter's eye, you're used to the visuals. And so you just get used to that, right? And I think that helps you. Now, there are certain stadiums I went to on the road where I felt like I hit awesome. But overall, you just get used to your home park. And then you get used to the routine. Baseball's such a game of routine. And so you get used to doing, what are you going to do every single day? And when you're at home, obviously that stays pretty much the same. And so you just get used to that routine. It's just much easier to get ready for a game. So hopefully that helps out. Win reality. Which player has the best plate discipline in Major League Baseball? That's a really good question. I'd have to look up the stats on this. I know that when I was putting together my list of players, this is back a while ago, when I was putting together my list of top players at each position, I do remember Alex Bregman having he might have been the best actually at not swinging at pitches outside the zone. Um, so I guess I'll go with Bregman. Um, I can't remember who else was up there when I was looking at that list. I think Mike Trout might have been up there. Um, I can't remember who else, but I'll go with Bregman. Again, that's just a little bit of a guess. Some of that is just from watching him. Some of it is I do remember reading up on that. So let's go Bregman. I know some people are going to yell about that. Of course, he didn't swing at pitches outside the zone. He knew what was coming. I get it. But I believe that stat was from 2000, from last season. So they weren't supposed to be cheating last season. Charlie Thorne, 27. Thanks for the question. What year did you start playing varsity in high school? At what age did you realize you were going to get drafted? Okay, so in high school, I made JV as a freshman, and then I got called up to varsity, and then I ended up starting in the outfield, actually, for the playoffs in the state tournament for in my freshman year. We ended up winning the state championship. So my high schools typically, I don't want to say we're the best high school in Massachusetts for baseball when it comes to MIAA, but we're usually one of the best. So when I was in 8th grade, we had won the state championship, and then when I became a freshman, we were trying to go back to back, and we ended up going back to back. And so, yeah, I started JV, then moved up, and then I was in the starting lineup sophomore, junior, and senior year. I actually started the sophomore year. My first game of the season was started in the outfield, and then I moved back to the infield after a game or two or something like that. And then I played shortstop the rest of my career. And then at what age did you realize you're going to get drafted? I would say my senior year of high school. Just because, if you're someone that's going to get drafted and potentially get drafted high, there's a process you have to go through. Teams are going to send their scouts to your, they're going to send their scouts. For me, they came to my house and they kind of interviewed me. They put me through like some different tests and just got to know me, understand my personality. And then also I had to fly out and do like these pre-draft workouts. So I flew to Tampa for a workout with the Rays. I flew to Milwaukee to work out with the Brewers. Clearly neither team liked it because neither team drafted me. I got drafted by the Dodgers out of high school. J.M. Royer. If you could play baseball in any era, which would you pick? No, that's an interesting question. So I think every era, I think it would be, listen, I'll play in any era. I really don't care. I think it would be interesting to see the different eras, to see how the game was played, to see the game, because the game definitely changes and evolves over time. I probably wouldn't pick the 90s because, well, a lot of guys were on steroids, and I probably would have been afraid to go on steroids, so I wouldn't have been able to compete. I would have been 215 pounds, which would have been pretty strong, and I'd be facing guys 250 pounds and facing pitchers that are, well, I guess they throw 100 miles an hour now too, but I probably wouldn't pick the 90s because of that. I don't know if I'd pick before then because then pitchers weren't afraid. Well, I definitely wouldn't go back too far when there were no helmets because I ain't taking a 98 mile an hour fastball. I know not a lot of guys threw 98 back then, but back then I don't even know what they were thinking. They didn't care. They just threw. The pitcher didn't like you or thought that, didn't want you to get comfortable. They just fire a fastball right under your chin. Guys wearing no helmets, guys falling down. No one took exception to it. Everyone just got off, dusted themselves off, say, nice pitch right there. I'll get you this time. Just crazy to think about. Honestly, I'd probably just pick this era because I think, I know some people, especially baseball people, don't like change very much. But I think the game continues to get better. I think everything about the game gets better, right? From a player's perspective, travel's better, food's better, you're paid more. The game is just, it's become this huge game. It's really around the world now. And so I would probably just pick this era. Let's see, what else? I don't know how to say this one. JP0? I know you never played in Japan, but do you think it would be a better decision to play baseball in Japan if you are not a high draft pick or top prospect? So, here's the thing. If you're not a high draft pick or top prospect, you're probably not going to have the opportunity to play in Japan. So there are American players that go play in Japan, but they're only allowed to have a certain amount of non-Japanese players. It's a very small percentage, and so it's not like they're just going to take, oh, you weren't drafted high and you're not a top prospect, come play here. Like, it's Japan is amazing baseball, and so I don't think most players would have that opportunity. Maybe a guy here or there, but I just don't think it's. Everyone always said to me, "Why did you just go play to Japan when you were done playing?" Because they didn't want. I don't. They didn't want me. Like, if I called them and said, or my agent called and said, "Hey, he really wants to come play in Japan," they'd say, "Who?" Like, they usually want like big, strong power guys because, well, if they're only going to be able to bring a couple of American players over, that's what they want. And that's what people. If you're a Japanese fan and you're going to have an American player come over, you want to see somebody go deep. You want to see someone hitting bombs, and so. It's just not that easy. Everyone thinks it's like really easy to go play over there, but it's not that easy. All right, let's do one more for this video, and then I got tons more questions. So again, we'll probably make this a multi-part series. So let's see. I don't know how to pronounce this. Isawavi? Maybe? I'm horrible. Sorry for the pronunciation issues I have. What is the best way to college in the States if you are hold on one second. Oh, international player. Sorry, I had that question cut off a little bit. So what is the best way to get into a college in the States if you're an international player? Gotcha. For some reason that question got cut off a little. I had to move it over. Okay, so I'm not an expert when it comes to international players. I get this question a ton. I get a lot of players from Australia ask me this question. I have a lot of European players ask me this question all the time. I don't know. When I coached in college and did some recruiting, I didn't recruit any international players. And so I don't know the exact process, but what I would say, if I had to guess, is that it's pretty similar with the way you would do it if you're from America or Canada, is that you want to start off with a video. So you need to create a video that shows your skill set so colleges can look at it and say, this guy looks potentially like someone that could play at our school, right? His skill set is similar to what we're looking for. So that would be a start. You need to create a target list. So you have to look at the schools in America and figure out, okay, academically, where could you get into? Athletically, where do you think you can play? You might need help with that. We help a lot of players with that, but try to find someone that has sent players to go play college baseball in America, if you can find someone. And then maybe socially, what part of the country you want to go to. Now, again, if you're not from America, you might not know, but just do all that research and then send your email. So then take your video, your highlight video, your skills video, put it in an email and send it to those coaches, and then tell them about yourself. Give them your information and say, I'm really, really interested. Now, those schools are probably going to tell you, if they look at your video and say, man, this kid can play a little bit, I think he might be able to play here. They're probably going to let you know where they're going to be at that summer. They're going to let you know, about their college camps and stuff. Now, you're not from America, obviously. So, but here's the thing. No college coach is going to be like, hey, listen, you're from Germany? I'll hop in a plane. I'm going to come watch you play in Germany. Obviously, that's not going to happen. So you're going to need to find a way. Again, I'm assuming you're going to have to find a way to get over to America. And, maybe you pick a couple weeks during the summer. I know it's tough right now because this summer is very much unknown. But, maybe hopefully next year, or if things get better. Maybe you pick, a couple weeks that you can get to a couple of different college camps. Maybe there's a showcase going on. Get in here, and that'll be your opportunity. You let those schools know, I'm going to be in the United States on these dates. I'm going to be at this camp and this camp and this camp. And that'll be like your 3-week period, if you can do it, to get those schools to be able to see. And then you can probably tour the campuses while you're out here as well. So that's how I would kind of do it. It's not easy. There's no easy way to do it, but that's probably the best way. So thanks again, guys, for the questions. I'm going to do another one of these. We have a lot more questions to get through here. If you don't follow us on Instagram, go follow our Instagram page, Antonelli Baseball, because I'm going to do a lot more of these, ask questions and do these kind of rapid fire things. I think it's kind of cool, and I get so many questions. I get so many DM questions that I think it's easier. Instead of just answering the one person, you know, I can help a lot more people if we throw it on here. So thanks again for watching. Give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff, and we'll talk to you later.